A couple of weeks ago, one of the controversies that's been simmering in a corner of the finance world burst into the mainstream. Jamie Dimon, the head of JP Morgan Chase, dismissed Bitcoin as a fraud. He said he would never hire anybody who owned Bitcoin because he wouldn't want anybody that stupid working for him. This was certainly startling to those of us who've watched Bitcoin for a long time. Bitcoin weakened momentarily, but is since coming charging back. And this week, another big bank CEO weighed in on Bitcoin. Lloyd Blankfein said he is, quote, still thinking about it. He's on the fence. So actually, there was a vote of credibility for Bitcoin. We are joined by our cryptocurrency expert, Sarah Silverstein, putting together, I should pre-announce a little bit, a show on Bitcoin and others. It's going to be exciting to watch. Anyway, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm going.
Lloyd, what do other people think about Bitcoin?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going all in on cryptos, and I think that one of the reasons that Blankfein came out this week with his non-decision on Bitcoin is because on Monday they announced that Goldman may be doing some sort of Bitcoin trading operation, which would be the first blue chip firm like that to do something with Bitcoin. We've also heard from Ray Dalio, who told Henry that Bitcoin is a speculative bubble. Jamie Dimon, of course, calling it a fraud. Morgan Stanley CEO James Gorman saying it's more than just a fad, so much more positive from him. Gary Schilling, who I spoke to recently about it, said that it's a black box, and which makes him suspicious, and he doesn't invest in anything that he doesn't understand. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink thinks that the explosive growth of Bitcoin points to nefarious behavior. So we're seeing all sorts of people have different things to say. You have said on both sides it could go to $1 million or it could go to zero. Where do you fall? Or, to $1?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
I fall the same place I have been. It is the perfect asset for a speculative bubble. There is a finite supply. It's hard to understand, so there's only a small group that understand it, but now it's sort of reverberating out into the mainstream. It has no intrinsic value, which means, on the positive side, that it could be worth anything, whatever you pay for it. So if you're in early and you're now espousing to the world how much money you have made on your faith, and you can look at it and say, hey, it could go from 4,000 to 40,000 to 400,000 to 4 million. You're right. Nobody can prove you wrong. So that is my view. As long as you are 100% comfortable with the idea that you could lose everything, speculate away.
And I think that that's fair. I think that if you're comfortable losing everything, but I think a lot of the arguments made against Bitcoin that gold has a lot of intrinsic value, to me, the more I think about that, the less true I think it is. I think a lot of that value, the reason we make jewelry out of gold is because it's valuable, it's a safe haven, it's an alternative currency. And I think that a lot of the definitions of a speculative bubble, which are wide-ranging, can be applied to a lot of things, including gold as well. So I'm not entirely sold. I think that people don't understand it as well. I think that that's very fair, and it's not as stable, and it hasn't been around as long. But just because gold exists in a vault, most of us trade it on the internet anyway. So I do feel like people they just don't understand it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not there and real and going to be a real thing.
It's true. And to your point, we do use gold for things. There is demand for it, which holds up the intrinsic value argument. But people are actually using Bitcoin for things, too. If you look at the long-term daily transaction of volume of Bitcoin, it keeps going up. And to me, that is actually the fundamental metric that you want to see. If that keeps going up, there will simply be more demand for people holding pieces of Bitcoin. And because there is a finite supply, this is part of what can drive the price up. That said, if Bitcoin dropped to 1,000 tomorrow, lost 75% of its value, there would be no, wow, now it's cheap, get your Bitcoin argument. Because again, it could get cut by 99.9% from there, and you still wouldn't be able to argue that it was cheap. That's what I mean when I say there's no intrinsic value.
And I think that that's true. And even if Tom Lee is right, who said that it will take up a certain amount of the demand for gold as a safe haven, he's not necessarily talking about Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin does lose that much, he's really just talking about cryptocurrencies in general. So it is hard to know where that would fall, even if you believe that that's true.